Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is John Crump, and this is sponsored, not really sponsored, but whatever, by Pack997, GibsonGo.com, Pack997. If you want to help out the Cub Scouts, a traditional Cub Scout units, a boy only pack, you can do so by going to GibsonGo.com/997. At 997, we keep things traditional. Today, we're going to be talking about a filing that was just filed by the DOJ, and I think it's kind of funny the timing of it. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, all, we are back and we're going to be talking about what is going on in the Peterson case. You don't know, the Peterson case dealt with a man from Louisiana named George Peterson, who is a pretty cool guy. I've talked to him. And he was busted with a serial number without registration with the National Firearm Act of 1934. Here, and I will call that the NFA. So he is charged with NFA violations. It went to a district court where he was convicted. He appealed to a three-judge panel out of the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is usually a pretty good circuit, but they ruled against him, stating that that suppressors are just accessories. And in fact, the DOJ filed a brief stating that exact same thing, but they walked it back a little bit, which was definitely interesting. And they stated, suppressors are protected. Today, um, Helmut Dillon, the head of the Civil Rights Division, put out a video talking about all the great stuff that the DOJ has done with the Second Amendment. At the same time, literally as the video was premiering, a filing dropped from the DOJ in the Peterson case. Basically, the DOJ is in opposition to Peterson getting an en banc hearing. An en banc hearing is when the whole entire Fifth Circuit would hear the case. But the DOJ is against that. And you might be wondering, why is the DOJ against that if they are so pro Second Amendment? Well, I'm going to tell you their reasonings. They stated that the NFA is just a modest restriction on rights. You heard that right, a modest restriction on rights. And they stated that the NFA is 100% constitutional. Now, they did state that if the NFA applied to ordinary firearms, that it would probably not be unconstitutional. What do I mean by ordinary firearms? Well, they actually defined a suppressor and they called it a non-essential firearm accessory. Therefore, they state that it is consistent to be regulated under the NFA. They also stated that Peterson, when he said that the panel misapplied Bruin, that they didn't misapply Bruin. And they applied it just right because they said that the ruling is consistent with the Supreme Court. Now, what happened was Peterson brought up another case called Coons versus New Jersey that challenged a 2022 law where New Jersey charged to go to a violent prevention fund to concealed weapons permits. The Justice Department says that is not a good example because the NFA is 91 years old and the New Jersey law was only from 2022. Therefore, it is all right because 90 years ago, I guess that's close enough to the founding era. Not really sure what they're trying to get at though. but I'm pretty sure that is still really, really far away from the founding era. So therefore, the NFA is constitutional as applied to suppressors. Once again, they said that if it applied to ordinary firearms, then the restrictions wouldn't probably be unconstitutional. But since it doesn't really apply to firearms, only firearm non-essential firearms accessories, then it is okay. So we had the DOJ walk back the suppressors are not protected firearms, and then they seem to put that back in this brief. I think it's kind of funny because the DOJ did state that they were protected firearms, and also under federal statute, they are recognized as firearms. So it looks like they are going against federal statutes here as well. Just wanted to bring you up to date on that. I do think it's funny that, or sad, whatever, that they put out a video about how pro Second Amendment they are, and at the same time drop this anti Second Amendment filing. I just want you to. I'm just going to read you a quote since I'm wrapping up here. Um, Let me see here. Replies. Uh, I asked for AAG Dylan for an explanation. Don't think I'm going to get one, but whatever. But this is what the DOJ wrote. The question of the panel resolved, however, are narrower than Peterson claims. The NFA regulation at the issue does not target ordinary firearms such as handguns, but only non-essential firearms accessories that are uniquely adaptable for criminal use. You heard me right. They are trying to argue that suppressors are adaptable for criminal misuse. Basically trying to say suppressors are tools of criminals. Law-abiding citizens remain free to possess suppressors so long as they register them. Also, recent legislative changes mitigate Peterson's taxation concerns. And that basically goes into the one big beautiful bill, which at the time was not in. I get a little bit upset. So they're trying to back on the whole entire thing of saying that the suppressors are not protected firearms, that they're non-essential firearms accessories, which I thought they walked back, but apparently not. With that out of the way, I think we are going to be done here. Thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow there is a interesting hearing out of New York that deals with New York's assault weapons and magazine ban, and I will be streaming that tomorrow when it comes out. So stay tuned for that. And we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much. And with that, we're out of here. Bye.